Welcome back to another episode of the Many Faces of Cancer podcast. I am your host, Melissa Grosboll, and joining me today is Kandy Salby. And Kandy is a stage 4 colon cancer survivor and also a wife, mom, sister, friend, and retired English teacher. Diagnosed in October of 2020 at the age of 49, Kandy went on medical leave while she experienced chemo, radiation, and multiple surgeries over the course of 4 years. She is currently in remission, strong and healthy after 2 years of stable scans, and just last week had her chemo port removed. Her strategy for participating in her own healing focuses on a no stone left unturned approach, listening to her oncologist, working with a naturopathic doctor, reading a lot of stories about cancer survival, patient attitudes, and outcomes led her to be hopeful and open to alternative ways of healing, including fasting, diet, exercise, herbal remedies, Reiki, visualization, journaling, community involvement, meditation, prayer, laughter, and poetry, just to name a few. Hope is a really important element to healing, and Kandy strives to deliver hope to others through her story. So welcome to the show, Kandy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Melissa.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on. Like I was saying before, we don't hear about a lot of stage 4 colon cancer survivors. So first of all, congratulations on having your port removed and just being here today. And I can't wait to dive into your story.
Thank you so much. Yes, that was a huge physical and symbolic moment getting the port removed last week. And it was kind of funny because I've had drains removed, and for some reason I thought when I went in there they were just going to pull it out, and that was not what the port removal was. It was almost a mini surgery, but I was awake. Ooh. And so I was just so excited that it was getting pulled out. I didn't really think about what it was going to be like, but it was about a 40 to 45 minute process. They gave me a local anesthetic, and then the surgeon just talked to me the whole time while he was digging away at my scar tissue and pulling the thing out, but it took a long time. I knew something was up when they asked me what kind of music did I like. And I said, how long am I going to be here? And I don't know what I was thinking. It's been in there almost 5 years. Of course, there's scar tissue around it. I just, for some reason in my head, thought it was going to be just like a drain removal, which is very quick. So regardless, it's a huge psychological and physical relief to have that out of my body. It symbolizes no more chemo, hopefully ever again. And it was a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And something to definitely be celebrated.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't know what it is about doctors and music. When I had my colonoscopy a couple of years ago, my doctor said, what kind of music do you like to listen to? And I just said, what kind of music do you like to listen to? I'm going to be asleep. I don't care.
Right.
And when my husband went, he's like, I want to listen to Rush. And, we have the same doctor. And he's like, oh my gosh, I don't think anybody's ever asked for Rush. So this is going to be fun.
That's funny. They told me, because I said, I don't know, 80s. They said, oh, we're having an 80s day, except for the one person who asked for Mozart, which they haven't had a Mozart request before. So maybe it's just fun for them to ask that question.
Could be. I just wanted music that he liked to listen to, right, because he was going to have to stay awake through it, not me.
Right. Do your job. Focus.
Right. All right. And I will have to make sure that my grammar and my syntax is on point since you are a retired English teacher.
That's okay. I'm off duty.
Okay. I'm a little bit of a grammatist, actually, a little grammar Nazi. I'm much better than I used to be, but I used to just correct people all the time because it absolutely drove me crazy.
Well, I really like all iterations of language. I find slang fascinating. I think curse words are fascinating. I love accents. I really love the way things don't translate exactly from one language to another. So text message language, abbreviations, I think the way language is changing is really interesting. We could get into a whole linguistics conversation on another podcast.
Absolutely. I belong to a Toastmasters group, and there are several members of my Toastmasters group that are originally from other countries. And so, hearing them talk, and one of them, he's from Bolivia. He moved here when he was a teenager, and he is very much like a grammar Nazi. And he, it's very important to him. But, the other people, there's a gentleman there from Nigeria, and a woman from Ethiopia, and a gentleman from Sweden and stuff. So it's so interesting, like you said, to hear about words and how they don't translate exactly, and how things have different meanings. So that's all very cool.
And language is constantly changing. So
absolutely,
we have to be a little bit flexible because it is constantly changing.
And to try and learn English, like if it's not your native language, like that's insane. Yeah. It's hard enough for us native English speakers to be able to get it right all the time,
It is crazy. Yeah.
All right, Kandy, well, take us back to 2020. Like, what was going on in your life? What led you to get checked, to get diagnosed? Like, kind of give us the background on your diagnosis.
Okay. So in the spring of 2020, as we all might recall, we went on a COVID-19 pandemic shutdown. And it was
You're
around
in California,
that time,
so you like massively shut down.
Yes. Around that time, I was having digestive issues. My stomach was kind of bloated and hurting, and I was having kind of a rotating constipation for a few days, diarrhea for a few days. It was on and off. And my regular doctor through email was telling me, try yogurt, try probiotics. I would try that. It would maybe feel better for a little while, and then it would get worse. And so eventually he sent me a stool kit. So now that's probably August of 2020. And I did the stool kit. The stool kit showed blood and inflammation, which I could have told you that. And then he said, well, I'll have you talk to a GI specialist, but I don't really think, they're going to find anything. And so because of the pandemic, I had a Zoom appointment with a GI doctor, a specialist, and she told me you need a colonoscopy immediately. So at the time I was 49, and they didn't really recommend colonoscopies until age 50. Now the recommendation is 45. And in some states, they are starting as early as 35. Regardless, where I live, it's still 50. And so I was early for my colonoscopy, but thank goodness she said you need it immediately. So the following week, October 1st, 2020, I did the prep for the colonoscopy. It was very difficult because little did we know I had a 4-inch tumor blocking my colon in the sigmoid area of the colon. So I did the whole prep. I drank that whole gallon of disgusting laxative. I was crying the whole time. It was terrible. Oh. I was Googling, is this supposed to be painful? No, it's not. And I went in for my colonoscopy. They couldn't even get in. I think they went in about 10 inches and saw the tumor. They tattooed my colon. They took a biopsy. They came back out. When I woke up, my husband was sitting there. So I knew something's different because they told him to wait in the parking lot because it was COVID.
Right. Yeah, they couldn't let anybody
allowed to go in with me. And the fact that he was sitting there when I woke up meant something's weird. And the GI doctor who did the colonoscopy did tell us it looks like cancer, but we did a biopsy. We will find out in a few days. And so that was the beginning of a very long journey. I did 11 rounds of chemo from November to May of that year. I had a lung surgery because the PET scan showed it had spread to my left lung, which determined it to be stage 4. Okay. Anytime cancer has spread from one organ to another organ, that's how they stage it. So I had a small nodule in my upper left lung lobe and a small nodule, very tiny nodule in the lower left lung. And in July 2021, they took out both of those pieces. They both had cancer in them. And then I did radiation in August and then a major abdominal surgery in October of 2021. So a year after my diagnosis, I was ready for the resection because my cancer responded well to the chemo. Good. It shrunk from being a 4-inch tumor down to a little less than a 2-inch tumor. Nice. And because nothing new had popped up in my CT scans, they were willing to do surgery. Now, normally with stage 4, you might see little nodules popping up here and there and everywhere, and surgery is just not an option. I don't know how they make these decisions, but lucky for me, my cancer was responding to the chemo. So
sometimes I think they just flip a coin, like, okay, heads, we do surgery, tails, we celery, we can't,
Right. Well, and I had a surgeon who went to bat for me because I was only 49 and I was overall very healthy. I didn't have any other health problems. I was, a pretty strong candidate for healing and recovery. And I'm not, again, sure what her thinking was, but I know she went to bat for me. And so for November and December, I was not a candidate for surgery. It wasn't until January when the CT scan showed that the tumor was shrinking that I became a candidate for surgery. And so that was huge. That was a very big deal. And so I had this major surgery. They resected my colon, which means they cut 7 inches of my colon out and then sewed it back together. They also removed my ovaries and my fallopian tubes as a precaution because colon cancer likes to come to those places. They removed 26 lymph nodes in the area. One of those lymph nodes did have cancer in it. I had a temporary ileostomy bag that was on my right side of my abdomen that I wore for 5 months. I ended up in the ER 6 days post surgery because I had a hematoma. Ended up having to get a pelvic drain for that. A few months later, in March of 2022, I did get to have the ileostomy bag removed. So another major abdominal surgery that took several weeks to recover from. And the digestive issues from that whole process were terrible, and having the bag was easier. But if I can get it back to almost normal, it will be worth it. I have considered asking to have the bag back because dealing with...
Are you still having issues?
I still have issues. Later? Yeah. Okay. 3 years later. Yes.
Okay.
And then in March 2023, I had another nodule showed up in my left lung in the upper lobe and in the lower lobe again. And so the surgeons decided to do a whole lobectomy. They took my whole upper left lung lobe and that little there was a tiny like grain of sand sized one in the lower lobe. They took the whole upper left lobe and just the little nodule from the bottom. They both had cancer. Good news about your lungs is they can grow more cells. You won't grow a whole new lobe, but you can grow more cells. Hasn't stopped me from doing anything. And for 2 years now, I've had stable scans with no recurrence of anything popping up.
Yay! That's fantastic.
Thank you.
And how often do you get scanned?
Well, other good news I got when I met with my doctor in June was when he asked me, how do you feel about getting the port removed? And I said, well, that would be great. He said, and let's do your CT scans every year now. I was getting them every 3 to 4 months. Wow. And now my next one's not due until May. So once a year.
Less radiation. Yay.
Yes, right. So the reason people who are dealing with cancer would want to get CT scans every few months is because you want to catch anything that pops up early, especially if you're stage 4. You need to see that. If another nodule pops up, we want to go get it as soon as you can.
Right.
However, every CT scan is exposing you to radiation, which also causes cancer. So I would be happy to go once a year. I'm still doing blood work every 3 to 4 months, and there is a blood marker that kind of traces a cancer antigen. We all have cancer cells, but there is some way of tracking when there's a lot of activity. And so we're keeping track of that cancer antigen as well. So I'm okay with going once a year, and we'll see how that goes. But as far as I am today, I'm pretty strong and healthy. I just started being a field supervisor for our local college, supporting new teachers. I just went this morning and observed a new teacher. And so now I'm back in the classroom in a different way, but able to lend my years of experience and passion to help the next generation. So,
Which
still,
is so needed.
thank you. Yes, yes, we need our teachers, and we want them to be good teachers.
Right.
So, but I'm feeling strong and healthy. Port is out, 2 years in remission. And my doctor said he really didn't have a playbook for someone like me. And so that really gave me this feeling like I have a sense of duty to give other people hope.
Now, and I don't kind of know the statistics, but what is the, I guess, the survivability or the survival rate for stage 4 colon cancer? And with that, how did you kind of get through? Because I know it's not very high. What kind of continued to give you hope going through that you would be among that percentage?
Great question. I was told not to Google anything. Of course, I still did. And the
Of course.
last time I checked, so don't quote me on this, it could have changed. It was probably 5 years ago when I first got diagnosed. It was a 12% 5 to 10 year survival rate.
Okay.
And the first oncologist I talked to told me I had about 2 to 5 years to live. And we were only looking at palliative care, not curative care. So he was just talking about keeping me comfortable and giving me a good quality of life. So chemo just to control the growth, not
And
chemo.
you went and found another doctor.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Because I said, oh, you don't know me. I need the glass half full guy. And I read books. And luckily, between my colonoscopy on October 1st and about 2 or 3 weeks later after PET scans and CT scans, when I got the stage 4 news, within that 2 to 3 week period, I had read 2 books that changed the way I looked at everything. One of them
what were those books?
One was Love, Medicine, and Miracles by Dr. Bernie Siegel.
Okay.
And I have it right here. I've read it 3 times, and I will probably read it again. And I read Radical Remission by Dr. Kelly Turner. And
that is such a fantastic book.
Yes. And so Love, Medicine, and Miracles really taught me that it doesn't matter what they say. There are outliers. And your attitude and your participation as a patient in your own healing really matters. So don't go into it passively, just following your doctor's orders. Actually participate in your own healing and visualize your body healing, knowing that your body wants to heal. Your body knows how to heal. What do you believe? Do you believe your body wants to heal? Are you helping your body heal? Are you talking to your body? Are you visualizing your cells healing? So I really got into all of that. I also, as soon as I was diagnosed, my sisters came over and they went online and they found a naturopathic doctor. And they paid for some huge package for me to meet with her all throughout my whole cancer journey. It was through Zoom. And she was amazing. She taught me to ask for a decrease in chemo dosage if I was feeling too sick, ask for a delay in treatment if I was feeling too sick. Ask questions. She taught me about fasting and controlling my diet, and sent me a lot of research on what helps with cancer and chemo. And so it was kind of a combination between East and West, naturopathic and allopathic medicine. Sometimes I felt like I was in a tug of war between what she told me and what they told me, but I just kind of listened to my gut and listened to my intuition and what felt right for me. But at least it gave me a feeling of control, a little bit, because you feel so out of control that you're just
absolutely
blindsided.
Yeah, we find any way that we can to control anything that we can. And I love that, I talked to several people, and I'm, not placing judgment, and everybody has to do what is right for them, but some people are like, I just did whatever my doctor said. And I was in my doctor's hands, and I knew that they knew best, and I just did whatever they said. And I mean, have had great results, and that's fine. And I don't like to say but, and you can also take part in your own journey, and you can say, can we talk about this, or
Mm-hmm.
give me more information, or I don't really feel like that's the right thing for me. And as your doctors, like, they're duty bound to listen to you and have a conversation with you. And if you find somebody that's either going to give you horribly negative news or somebody that just wants to steamroll over you, it might be time to find a different doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a shame. And I hear it all the time. I mean, I have a chiropractic background. I was a chiropractor for 20 years. So I'm very much more on the Eastern side
Mm-hmm.
of medicine. And it makes me very sad when I hear about that tug of war, because I just feel that there's a place for the two of them together
Mm-hmm.
because they complement each other so well. And I just wish more Western medicine doctors would take into consideration complementary care. And
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of them don't.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And it sounds like you experienced that too.
Well, my new oncologist knew exactly what I was doing. He knew I was working with a naturopathic doctor. He was very open and receptive to when I asked 4 separate times to decrease my dose, and he agreed each time. I also delayed chemo 4 times, and he was okay with that. And I was supposed to go 12 rounds, and I only went 11 with his okay, because I wanted to feel better by the time my nephew's wedding took place in June of 2021. So I was able to work with him. And so I had the right guy for me. I had my dream team with my naturopathic doctor and my oncologist and my surgeons. And they all knew that I was participating in my healing and that I was doing everything in my power to support what they were asking me to do, but not without asking questions. And for example, I refused the steroids after probably 2 or 3 rounds. I noticed that the steroid they give you to avoid allergies with chemo, it would keep me up all night for 2, 3, 4, 5 nights in a row. And it was terrible because I was wide awake, but couldn't do anything productive. I was so tired and weak, but wide awake. It was just driving me crazy. And so I told them, you can bring that green pill to me, but I will not take it. So you should save it for someone else. And just being able to advocate for myself and knowing if I don't need it, I don't have to take it. You can refuse anything. You don't have to do chemo. You don't have to have surgery. You don't have to have radiation. But you can do the things that you feel are going to help you. And you can supplement them or enhance them with some naturopathic things like fasting, like diet, like exercise, yoga, Reiki, journaling, visualization, meditation. There's so many things that can help you really supplement what's happening with your regular doctor.
And yes, you mentioned, like, in your introduction, like, all of the things. And I know for me, part of my issue, and I know several other people like this, that there was just so much overwhelm of information and stuff in the beginning. And, and I, like you, like, I read a bunch of books and, like, I'm going to make my body an inhospitable host for cancer. Like, it's just never going to come back. And it was so overwhelming. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to change every single thing, and I have to do this, and I can't do this. And so of all of the things, and this may be difficult for you to answer, but of all of the things, can you say from your experience, like, what maybe the 2 or 3 most beneficial, or what you felt were the most powerful things that you did to assist in your healing journey? Because
Yes.
I mean, you gave me like 12 of them, and I know most people going through this are not going to do all 12.
No, and I agree. That is overwhelming, and that's too much. And I didn't do it all at once. And that's only a partial list. I probably did 50 things. I might have done 100. I don't know. And I'll never know what helped the most. But it's actually not a hard question. Number one, get your mind right. The mind-body connection is so powerful. What do you believe? If you believe that faith and prayer will get you through this, then it will. If you believe it's diet, then it's diet. If you believe meditation is what you need, then that's what you need. If you believe reading and journaling writing poetry, listening to music, watching comedy, laughter. Whatever works for you is what's going to work for you. But you have to
I
get your
love that.
mind right. And every negative thought must be countered by a positive thought, whether you believe that thought or not. You have to be participating in that mind-body conversation. So when the scary thought comes up that this is hard or this hurts, I would tell myself, my right now is good.
I like that. My right now is good.
If you start to feel guilty that the laundry and the dishes and the meals and the this and the kids and the dog and all the things you normally take care of aren't being taken care of, everything can wait. That's another mantra I have. Everything can wait, because right now I'm focused on my healing. So a constant mantra I have is I'm grateful for my healing. Starting from the day I got diagnosed, I'm grateful for my healing. And continuing today. I say that to myself all day, every day. Because as a cancer survivor, you probably know this too. Every little weird ache, pain, bump, lump, scratch, bruise, is it cancer?
Yep.
So am I dying? What's happening? Ingrown hair? Am I dying? So the message we have to tell ourselves is, I'm grateful for my healing. Whatever that thing is, that little scratch or bump, or if I have a cold or I don't feel good, I have a headache, I'm grateful for my healing. So when the scary thought comes in, the positive thought has to come in too. And that takes effort. That takes participation. You have to decide, I'm going to participate in my life every single day. And that doesn't mean ignore the scary thoughts, deny them. You absolutely should acknowledge and respect and honor all of your feelings. I'm scared. I'm angry. This is not fair. This hurts. Acknowledge and honor your feelings, but know you're coming back to being grateful, because I'm alive right now. So if I can walk and talk and see and hear, or whatever I can do that day, and when you're doing chemo, you can't really do anything but lay there and breathe through it, right? I'm still grateful for my healing, and I know that this magical potion, this chemo, is doing what it needs to do. And I'm visualizing the cancer cells are weak and they're transforming and they're dissolving and they're moving out of my body. So
That's awesome. I had someone that I interviewed that she called her chemo bags liquid love. And she would actually bring in like heart-shaped stickers and have the infusion nurses put the heart-shaped stickers on her chemo bags, because that was her way of staying positive and feeling it like, okay, this is liquid love coming into my body and taking care of everything that doesn't need to be there. So I love hearing the little things that people come up with that help them get through. Cause I mean, you can just lay there and be miserable for however long your infusion takes and go, oh my God, this is poison entering my body and I feel like crap or whatever. Or you can choose, hey, this is saving my life. This is getting rid of, these are my soldiers that are getting rid of all of the bad, juju in my body, kind of thing. And yeah, I totally agree. Mindset is probably, the most important thing. And it's hard. Some days it's hard because cancer sucks. Like, no, I don't care if, like me, you just have one little lump that surgery gets rid of, or, you're on chemo for 2 years or whatever. Like, cancer sucks.
It is.
And, life can be beautiful as well.
Right. So there is kind of this balance of honoring those emotions. It is scary. It's life-threatening. I used to picture the Grim Reaper sitting on my shoulder, and I'm flicking him away, like, get off me, I'm
not ready yet.
Because when you have cancer, that you feel like someone's got a gun to your head. Like, you're just, how much longer do I have? Am I going to make it to my son's graduation? Am I going to make it to the next event? How long am I going to be around? You don't even know if you can commit to anything, not just because of if you're going to be alive or not, but how are you going to feel? Will you have recovered from that surgery? Will you feel good enough? Can you trust your body to even go out to dinner and not end up on the toilet all night, or have to run home, or, get tired, because your energy level is unpredictable. There's just no way to know on a day-to-day basis after having chemo what my energy level is going to be like. So I think it's really important to just stay as much as possible in gratitude, and knowing that my body wants to heal. My body knows how to heal. And I deserve to heal. I just need to listen to my body and pay attention. If I'm tired, I rest and do the best I can to keep a positive mental attitude.
And then what do you say to people? Because I've heard people say, I've got stage 4 cancer and it doesn't matter what I do, and I can, have all the hope in the world, and I can think as positively as possible. And, I may still die. Like, how do you, without being, I don't even like the term toxic positivity, because I don't really think that's a thing. You're positive or you're not. But what would you say to somebody who's like, I have stage 4 cancer. My doctor says I'm probably going to die.
I would personally reject it, because I was told the same thing. And the whole time I was in denial. The whole time I just thought there must be some mistake. To this day, I think, did that really happen? There must be some mistake. That didn't really happen. My number one recommendation is Love, Medicine, and Miracles, because there are testimonials in that book from real people who survived these fatal diagnoses and lived to tell the tale. So that's what I was looking for. And I watched movies and videos and YouTube and listened to podcasts, and I heard enough stories of survival and read books like Cured by Dr. Jeffrey Rediger that talked about how people, these outliers, not the statistics, these outliers, you are an N of one. There's only one of you. Every person's different. Every cancer is different. Don't let a doctor decide that for you. And I'm not saying they don't know, but I am saying, from everything I've read and seen and heard and witnessed and experienced myself, they're not always right.
Yeah.
So
they're going by the 88 to 90% of people who die from this. And I mean, when you really break it down, like 10, 12%, that's 12 people out of every 100, that actually survive, or, 100 people out of 1,000 who actually survive. And by having that mindset versus, oh my gosh, I only have a 10% chance. Like, well, that's 100% if it ends up being you.
Right. So I can't guarantee anyone anything, but it's worth a try. I with my
what do you have to lose?
Left unturned strategy, so many things that I did, I just thought, well, it won't be for my lack of trying. I wasn't delusional thinking for sure I'm going to survive this. I didn't know, but I wasn't going to stop trying. And if the cancer, I mean, even now, like, I'm not complacent about it. Cancer has a habit of coming back. I had a very good friend who passed away at age 50, and she had kidney cancer at age 30. She did some chemo and some surgery and some clinical trials, and she lived another 20 years, and the cancer came back, and she ended up passing away. So I will never be complacent. However, it won't be for my lack of trying.
There you go.
If it comes back, it won't be because I gave up. There are people who are so passive, who get a diagnosis and say, oh, I guess I'm just going to die from cancer. Or I guess this is how I go out. And that's just not in my personality to accept that.
I love that. So what are you doing today to kind of, I guess, keep that hope alive and maybe helping others, to have that hope and advocating for themselves as well?
So today I write in a journal in the morning and in the evening, and I still have my daily mantras. I'm grateful for my healing. My right now is good. Trust the timing. And I am involved in 2 different cancer support groups. One is adventure therapy. You interviewed Lauren Huffmaster, which is how I met
Yep.
you. And I'm helping with some adventure therapy events. I'm also in another group called Kaleidoscope, which is a local cancer support group. And so, like I said, I just took a baby step out into the professional world again as a field supervisor for new teachers. I am working on a book. I have dreams of having a podcast someday. I'm just barely feeling good enough, consistently enough to commit to anything. And so as I'm kind of taking these baby steps out of my isolated world of healing, now I'm sort of looking at ways to give back and to give hope. And because I do feel better, I do feel very inspired and very motivated to help as many people as I can, however I can.
I love that. And people out there are looking for you because you are a survival story. And, I interviewed a woman who had glioblastoma at age 27, and that's like a 3% survival rate. And this was back in 2000 when there was no Facebook, there was barely any internet. And all she needed was one person who lived to be able to talk to, and that continued to give her hope that she was going to be okay. And here we are 24 years later, and she's absolutely thriving. And so people are looking for you because they need to know somebody who actually made it through to help give them hope that they can too.
Yes. Well, and that's amazing about that woman. Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm happy to be that symbol of an outlier, that it is possible.
Okay. So Kandy, if people, if there's somebody out there who may be going through what you're going through or what you went through, how can people get a hold of you? How can people find you if, they want to reach out and they just need somebody to talk to who's been there?
I would be more than happy to talk to people or message with people. I am on Facebook and Instagram, just under my name, Kandy Salby. And I'd be more than happy to give people some hope, some inspiration, answer questions. Like I said, I am working on a book, so I'm hoping to have that published within the next year. And then
awesome. Please let me know when that's happening, and I will totally spread the word to everybody.
Thank you. Yes, I feel like I have something to share. I have something to offer. And
absolutely.
I do have some tips for getting through chemo and things I've tried. It might work, work for me. It might work for someone else.
Absolutely. So I asked this of all of my guests, and I know we've kind of touched on it throughout the show, but I want to kind of in a nutshell. So if you came across somebody who was just diagnosed, whether it be stage 4, whether it be colon cancer, whether it be any kind of cancer, or they're in the midst of that overwhelm of a new diagnosis, like what is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody to just kind of help them through those beginning stages of overwhelm and terror?
So I already mentioned the first thing. I think the number one thing is to get your mind right.
Okay.
So really focus on, I'm grateful for my healing. Let that be your all day mantra. I'm grateful for my healing. I'm grateful for my healing. I'm grateful for my healing. And when your mind says, no, I'm scared, I'm grateful for my healing. I'm grateful for my healing. You just keep giving it to yourself. And then the second thing would be to accept help. It took a lot for me to learn how to accept help, to accept and receive help. But that was a huge stress relief for my family. I had teacher friends who wanted to start a meal train for me. And I said, no, my husband cooks, we're fine. But they said, how about just a couple days a week? And I said, okay, I guess we could try a couple days a week. And it ended up being so much fun for the kids they were rating people's meals, giving people 5 stars on their enchiladas. And I didn't get to eat everything they ate because I was fasting and going through chemo, and I couldn't really handle all the different kinds of meals. But accepting a meal train, if someone says, can I help you with something, you don't always know what you need help with, but say yes. And then ask your family, what do we need help with? Do we need to get somebody to school or practice tomorrow? Because I can't do it. Do I need someone to fold laundry for me? Because I can't do it. Can somebody walk the dog? Because your friends want to do something. And it's one way of letting people love you is letting them help you. And so if you have friends and family or a church group or a support group where people are asking, they really want to help, let them help. Accept and receive the help. I think that really helps you to focus on your healing. And if you can take time off work, as much time as possible, take time off work. You only get one body.
I love that, because I hear so often that people want to help and their thing is, let me know what I can do, or can I do something for you? And we don't. A lot of times we don't know what we need, what we want. And so we say, okay, sure. And then nothing ever gets done with it. And I've had people say, like, friends would say, hey, can I come walk your dog for you? Or, hey, can I come and do your laundry for you and stuff? And that's wonderful. But sometimes people don't know that either. So I love your piece about asking your family, what do we need help with? Because, when we're in the midst of chemo brain and whatever, we can't think about it either. But our family and our caregivers know what they can use the help with. So I love that piece of advice. That's another way for people to be able to receive help and know how to ask for what they need.
Yeah. And I know, and I respect, some people are very private about it. I know people who don't tell anyone they're going through this battle. They're very private. So I'm not sure how, maybe just keep it close within your circle of trust. If you're not someone who's an open book with, let me tell you my story written all over them. And I respect that. I know some people they just don't want that attention.
Right.
But I do think even if you don't want the attention, you deserve the help. So accept the help. And it's really possible to survive and thrive and get through it and come out better than ever. So I think knowing there's hope is really important. And I really appreciate you doing your podcast and interviewing people, because I think it really helps. And not everyone has time to read all the books. And
you can, hopefully sit for 45 minutes and listen to somebody's story.
Right.
So, yeah. Awesome. Well, that is a perfect way to wrap this all up. So thank you so much for taking the time today, Kandy, and sitting down and telling your story. It truly is an inspiration to, and it will be to so many. So I really appreciate you, and congratulations again on getting your port removed and being 2 years in remission. And here's to another 50 years of remission.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oops.